Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech, and this week we have a lot to talk about with the iPhone 17 Pro cameras and what to expect there, iPhone 18, iPads, iOS 18.3, and much more. This is your weekly Apple News update for the week of January 13th, 2025. Now, the TikTok ban in the United States is looking more and more likely and can only be stopped at this point by the Supreme Court. It looks like this is something that's going to take place on January 19th if nothing changes. Apple, Google, and others will actually have to remove it from the App Store in the USA, and also TikTok has said that if the ban does take place, they'll just shut down their servers in the US, so even a VPN wouldn't work. So this is something that we may see happen in just about a week or so, and ISPs may even block access as well, but we don't know to what extent just yet. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and I'm just curious if you use TikTok, if you've removed it, or if you're using it regularly. Apple's annual proxy filing actually revealed that Tim Cook this year made about $10 million more than last year, coming in at $74.6 million. It's pretty typical for one of the most rich companies or the richest company in the world, and I'll link the filing below if you want to check it out, and it talks about the annual meeting and more. So to go along with this, Apple's annual shareholder meeting is actually taking place on February 25th, 2025. This is not the same as their sort of reporting meeting that they're going to have in about a week or two, where they talk about their earnings. This is completely different. So again, I'll link this in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Apple this week is apparently now making Apple system and package chips in the USA for the Apple Watch. The new TSMC factory in Arizona is now producing the S9 chips. Now they're not producing the latest chips, it seems. We'll probably see them ramp up to that, but they are starting S9 production. So it looks like they're well on their way to making other chipsets as well. Now, Apple Intelligence has some features that seem to be very helpful, some such as just the new look of Siri and some little bit of enhancement there, but overall things such as writing tools and notes. And within notes, if we tap on the option for Apple Intelligence, we have writing tools to proofread, rewrite, compose using ChatGPT, and much more. These are things that are somewhat helpful but don't seem to be appearing to help move the overall iPhone sales. So according to Ming-Chi Kuo this week, in a new survey, it was revealed that it doesn't seem to be moving sales, people wanting to upgrade just for Apple Intelligence. I actually long suspected this would be the case since things like Image Playground are okay, but after you use them for a day or so, you don't typically come back and use it as it's using things that are sort of generic. You can't make things that are true to life. And Genmoji is nice, but there's some other features that are still lacking at this point. Maybe with the future iterations of Apple Intelligence and updates, we'll see a change with that though. Now, Apple recently announced that they would be adding 10 new games in 2025, probably many others as well, but this is just to start 2025, and you can see those here as we scroll down. PGA Tour Pro Golf by Hip Games. If we continue to scroll down, Doodle Jump 2 Plus, we have My Deer Farm Plus, and much more. So I'll link this in the description if you want to check it out for yourself, see what's coming soon, and let me know if you use Apple Arcade as well. Apple is offering a back-to-school special in South Korea, Brazil, Australia, and New Zealand from January 8th until March 13th. Apple is offering free AirPods 4 with noise cancellation on many purchases or a discount on a product for a similar value to the AirPods 4 noise cancellation version. So that's the deal going on there. It's not for all products, but quite a few of them as well. And as far as weekly deals this week, well, there seems to be great deals on things such as AirPods Pro 2. They're down to $179.99, sold directly by Apple on Amazon. There's also a deal on AirTags, as well as the iPad mini 7th generation is down $100, starting at $399. So if you wanted to pick up one of those, I'll link all those deals in the description below, along with MacBook Pro up to $400 off. So some great deals this week. Going as far as releases this week, well, we do expect iOS 18.3 Beta 3 or possibly the release candidate. Last year, they sort of jumped right into the release candidate, so we could see something along those lines as soon as tomorrow. Tomorrow would mark 1 week since the release of Beta 2. However, we could be on a bi-weekly cycle. If we are, we won't see it until the following week. However, given what they've done in past Januaries, I would expect something at least Tuesday or Wednesday at this point. Also, iOS 18.3's public release could be at the end of this month or early next month. It depends on how quickly they release the betas with Beta 2, 3, the release candidate, or whatever they're doing here. So we'll have to wait and see what they do there, and we expect many of the overall features from Apple's announcement with iOS iOS 18 and Apple Intelligence to wrap up with iOS 18.4 before the release of iOS 19, which will be shown for the first time in June at WWDC. We'll typically see that around the 2nd or 9th, and then of course we'll have that released to the public in September later that year. So that's what we expect so far. Again, we'll have to wait and see as far as all the features. Also, we haven't seen an AirPods firmware update for some time. Some people still have issues with disconnects, but that seems maybe it's more related to iOS updates rather than AirPods, so let me know if you think they need an update as well. When it comes to the next iPhone, well, iPhone 17 Pro is definitely still in the works. I've talked about this for a while, and this week a digital chat station on Weibo has said that the iPhone 17 Pro models will have 48 megapixel main cameras, but will also have a smaller sensor this time around. Now, this could be in response to maybe a different design of the overall camera bumps we've seen from people like Majin Buu, or other things such as maybe the iPhone 17 Air could just require a smaller sensor and they're carrying it across to all. So we don't really know exactly why, but it looks like we're going to have that different camera design with a smaller sensor, but I wouldn't expect lesser quality. We're also expecting a 24 megapixel front-facing camera according to the same leaker. The same leaker also said that this year's iPhones with the 17 Pro models would all be 48 megapixels. Instead of just the wide and ultra wide, we would also have a telephoto zoom lens at 48 megapixels, allowing you to punch in a little bit further and maybe get some much better zoom images. So that's something we could see. And also, many rumors are still hinting that the iPhone 17 Pro models would use aluminum instead of titanium. And in the United States, it's aluminum. Everywhere else, it can be aluminium. It's the same thing. They're interchangeable. Many people were asking me about that in the comments last week, but basically we could see aluminum, a return to that, just like we had in previous generations with the iPhone 6, 6 Plus that bent, but they fixed that with the 6S model. So these actually were pretty sturdy after they got the reinforcements, but we could see a super slim model, all of them made of aluminum this time around. So we don't really know if that's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, the iPhone 18, and yes, the iPhone 18 is already in the works as Apple is about 3 years ahead of the public release, getting the supply chain ready, designs, factories ready for production, and much more. Digitimes this week has said that Samsung is working on a 3-layer stacked camera sensor for the iPhone 18 models. We've been hearing for a while that Samsung may be supplying sensors for upcoming iPhones, so this is lining up with what we've heard before. Also, iPhone 17 was originally rumored to feature an under-display Face ID sensor, but it seems that could be pushed to the iPhone 18. The display would still have a hole in it for the camera, but the overall dynamic island would shrink to basically a hole size where it would expand when needed, and we would just have the front-facing camera shown through instead of all of the other sensors as well. Ross Young has actually said that Apple may have delayed it for about a year until 2026, and he's usually spot on as far as displays go, so that seems very likely at this point. Now, the iPhone SE4, or what we were calling it last week with the iPhone 16e, could launch as soon as January, but Mark Gurman last week said that Apple plans to launch the updated iPhone in the spring before April. So it doesn't look like it's going to launch as soon as many people had thought, but it may be out around March or April timeframe, and that makes sense, maybe around the time of the launch of iOS 18.4. So maybe we'll see it then. We have seen hints of the upcoming phones in the code, along with some other products as well. Now, we expect Apple to launch a new iPad 11th generation this year, along with updated iPad Air models. We could see those in the spring around March to April, just like the iPhone SE4, and this is according to Mark Gurman. The design is not expected to change, but rather just gain a chipset upgrade and Apple Intelligence features. Gurman also said that Apple may just jump right to the M4 CPU with the Air instead of using last year's M3. Whether or not they'll keep the 13-inch like this one, or just basically upgrade the chipset is hard to say, but I'm not sure many people bought the 13-inch Air when we have the iPad Pro, but it is significantly less expensive. We're also expecting an Apple Watch SE3 this year. Apple updates this every couple of years, it seems, so we have the SE2, and it's been a few years since we've seen anything replace that. According to Mark Gurman this weekend, Apple plans to launch Apple Watch SE3 with a new look. Last year, we heard that Apple Watch SE3 could have sort of a plastic case instead of metal or aluminum, but so far no real design change has been confirmed, and we could just see that last minute. So Apple sometimes has Apple Watch rumors, and then they change last minute and we don't get an upgrade. The same thing was true with the Apple Watch Ultra 2, where they just changed it to black, and we expected this a year earlier. Now, according to Mark Gurman in his Power On newsletter, the next next generation Apple TV will be launching toward the end of the year. We've also heard Apple is working on a new Home Hub product similar to a HomePod, but with a display on it as well. However, this was apparently set to launch earlier in this year, but may come later than expected. However, now we expect it possibly a little bit later, and we also expect a HomePod Mini 2 to launch around the world as well. So we're not exactly sure what that includes, but we could expect Apple Intelligence built in, and then of course a Home Hub. Mark Gurman also stated that Apple is working on a cheaper Apple Vision device, but don't expect a new Vision Pro 2 or any devices in 2025. So maybe they'll try and run out the stock of the Apple Vision Pro, then move on to the Vision Pro 2 and a cheaper version as well. So that's everything this week with the iPhone 17 Pro, what to expect there, iPhone 18, and we even expect a folding version, but that's probably a couple years out at this point if they do bring it to market. Haven't heard any updates on the MacBook recently, but I do expect some updates this year with the Mac Studio and Mac Pro, at least bumping up to M4 Ultras, and of course I'm looking forward to some updates with iOS 19 in June as well. Let me know what you're looking most forward to in the comments below, and of course I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.